Hey YouTubers, Christopher Wanamaker here doing a new category topic video of my own personal experience and life learning lesson of dealing with unemployment. I'm going to be going through a bit of a step-by-step situational scenario story, which is my own personal story of me going through Colorado unemployment during the pandemic, because the pandemic forced me to lose my job in a very unique way. And then I collected unemployment through Colorado unemployment, even though I lived here in Ridgefield, Washington at the time. So it's a little bit of a story I'm going to go through here in a second. And but then after several months of receiving Colorado unemployment week after week, after about 7 months of receiving like $28,000 worth of unemployment, that's including CARES Act money. Then the whole Colorado employment system was frozen because of massive detection of fraud. And then they shut down their entire system because it was crashing, and because of all the massive quantities of people filing online. So they shut down the system for nearly 2 whole months to rebuild it, reactivate it. And when they did that, they changed my overall weekly determination, which I was getting $561 a week that I was originally approved for, and then they changed it to $223 per week. So they said I had an overpayment amount. But here's the interesting thing: is that the overpayment amount never stayed the same. After every 45 to 60 days, it kept changing. And so I could never actually pick and choose, whether it be like a 36-month payment process of a certain amount of each and every month for 36 months, 48 months, and like 60 months, I think it was. And so I could never choose, because it went from you owe us everything back to you owe us nothing back to you owe us a half of it back to you owe us a third, you owe us a quarter, you owe us all, you owe us nothing. Every 45 to 60 days, the overpayment amount kept changing. So after dealing with that for a few months, I started to realize I need to fight this. This is ridiculous. It went from them paying me a qualified amount of $561 a month, per week, to changing it to 223. So they said that they overpaid me, and so that way they could try to get a good portion of their money back, if not all of it. And I wasn't going to allow that. So I took the time, the energy, the details that I had collected, and pretty much I fought it. And after about between a year and a half to 2 years of fighting it, just a few months ago, I found out that I won, both with 3 different appeals packets, and then both a digital waiver and a paper printed up and then mailed to them form of a waiver. And with all that, I had won. So I'm gonna go through the story of why did I have to, what was my unique situation, why did I have to file for unemployment for the very first time in my life, and then once I started receiving things and all that, it was fine until they froze everything, and then the website went down. They rebuilt it and brought it back up. And then what did I use as evidence proof for the appeals packets? What was my process? What did it look like? So that way anyone who ever watches this listens and learns, and you have to deal with some sort of unemployment from whatever state, you have a better detailed hints, tips, and tricks idea of what you should be doing to stay on top of it should the government change their minds of all this money they are giving to you, that you earned, but then they try to screw you over. Something in the system is screwed up, human error, human technology glitch, whatever. You need to be taking very detailed notes and keeping track of everything you've done step by step, week after week. And then eventually you can use that to your advantage to fight it and win. So that way the government can't screw you over. They always say, hey, the government loves taking your money as soon as humanly possible. They love even more to give you money very, very slug pace slow. So, pretty much, how do you protect yourself, even from the federal government? Evidence, proof, documentation, knowing dates, times, places, who did you talk to, employee numbers, what did you tell them, what did they tell you. The more that you can be detailed, clear, timeline format, be tracking things and showing tons of evidence proof, you will cover your butt. Um, and so and I'll go into how did I learn all that after I tell my story. So here's a quick short version of what happened that put me in the situation where I had to apply for the first time ever for unemployment through Colorado, even though at the time I was living in Washington State. That's part of the story. So what had happened was this. I was a rideshare driver, Lyft rideshare driver in Colorado Springs from 2017 to 2000 early 2020. And what had happened was I lived in Colorado Springs, and then by mid-November 2019, I moved here to Ridgefield, Washington. Transferred my account over from Colorado to Washington State. However, that was the very first time since I got out of the Army in September 2016 that where I moved to from one state to another without the military, and I did not know it was a rule of thumb that within a month after you have moved from one state to another, you need to go to your local DMV and get that new state's driver's license. So what I had done is I had my driver's license was fine for another 2 years or so before needing it actually expiring and needing to get an updated version. However, by 1st of May of 2020, after a few months of the pandemic going on, I needed my vehicle registration for my vehicle expired, and and at that time, I had switched over from Lyft to Uber because I got deactivated from Lyft from a false scam report, and I got deactivated by a customer at the end of January of 2020. And so a month later, I signed up for Uber instead from the Portland, Oregon office. And so I became an Uber driver instead, which is more prone in this area than Lyft is. And so anyway, but so I had a Colorado driver's license, but and a Colorado vehicle registration. By 1st of May of 2020, my vehicle registration expired. I went to my local DOL, Department of Licensing, in Woodland, Washington, just a little north of me, and I went to them, and they're like, "Yeah, we could get you a new a vehicle registration, a new updated one." However, we are unauthorized to do so until you get your Colorado driver's license switched to Washington State. Unfortunately, at that time, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all DMVs throughout Washington and I believe Oregon and Idaho as well, the entire Pacific Northwest DMVs were all shut down. Specifically, I had to focus on Washington State one. And they did not come back up until middle of July of 2020, and I was able to get an appointment date on 20th of July of 2020, and so and because of my vehicle registration being expired, my Uber account is suspended, and so I was able to book, going to the newly opened DMV in Kelso, and but I didn't get my driver's license till a new driver's license, Washington State driver's license, until 20 July of 2020. And then I immediately headed south before getting home to the DOL in Woodland, Department of Licensing. And I got my vehicle registration updated, uploaded it to the Uber profile. And because Uber had laid off so many employees due to the pandemic, that my personal Uber driver account didn't actually get reactivated until like 17 August of 2020. So pretty much from 1st of May until about 17 August, I was deactivated. My account for Uber was suspended, and so I wasn't working, and that's why I filed for unemployment. Now, the first thing with the unemployment was that I went from Colorado Springs mid-November of 2019 to now. May of 2020, right around 6 months worth. So, and I had never filed for unemployment before. So I had no clue on whether do I file Washington State unemployment or Colorado unemployment. When I first called Washington State because it's like, hey, I've been here in Washington State for 6 months now. I figured I would apply through the unemployment office or department for the state I live in. Which I was wrong. The Washington State unemployment employee had asked me a specific question. What state did you file your 2019 taxes for? And I was like, Colorado. So they're like, that's who you would file for unemployment. So it's not Washington State, it's Colorado. I was like, okay. So I did that. And I think that was like right around 10th May of 2020. And so I did that. And then about 10 to 12 days later, I get a prepaid like debit card kind of a thing. The Colorado unemployment person who was helping me fill it all out because I'm brand new to it told me that when did the COVID-19 pandemic start to affect the amount of funds that was coming in, even though you were working? That was the last week of March of 2020. So I backdated it a bit, and so I got several $1,000s. I think it was $7,000-8,000 about 10 days later on a prepaid debit card, which I then spent $1 to get a certain amount, like $1,000 money order per week until all the money was off the card, so I could deposit it in my own checking account. So I did all that. And then so I qualified, and they took all my information of being a 1099 self-contractor. Being for 2019, I was a Lyft driver that whole time from 2017 to 2019, part-time while I was in college classes in Colorado Springs, 35 hours average to full-time 45 to up to 60 hours for some weeks during the time I was not in college, especially during summers. So I gathered all that information, all my earning statements from the Lyft website and everything, and filled out everything through the Colorado Unemployment. And their determination at the very beginning was you qualify for $561 a per week payment on top of the $600 CARES Act money that you will get for the first 14 weeks. After that, it'll drop back down to the normal $561 only. If at any point in time you get another job, you go into the system and you plug in exactly how much did you make that week, and then you may not get that entire 561. It might be 520, 500, 450. It will depend on how much are you making from whatever new job you got. So you have to input whatever income you're getting from wherever, and then you'll still probably get something from unemployment, but it will be a decreased amount. So did all that. Now that happened, and then that occurred every single week for about 7 months worth. I think it was right around, I want to say, beginning of December. It was either beginning of November or beginning of December of 2020 when the Colorado unemployment whole system froze, and they froze the whole thing because of detection of massive fraud being committed. It was all over the news and stuff. And so then they froze it, and then they decided that at that time, since everybody's payments are being frozen, let's shut down this old system, and hopefully in about a month or two, bring it back up with an updated software system. And I think they were shut down for about 6 7 weeks. So then they, 6 7 weeks later, I think it was like right after Christmas of 2020. The website came right back up. Might have been right after New Year's, so either after Christmas or New Year's, came back up. And then when it came back up and I log in the system, originally there was no overpayment amount, saying that I owe them money back. But then once their system came back up, it said that I owed a certain amount. And so they had a new determination that they were paying me too much, that I wasn't supposed to get paid $561 per week. I'm supposed to get paid $223. So, and within the system, they have these two different types of formulas. And so you take all your either gross income of if you're a W-2 person, net income if you're the 1099 self-contractor, you plug into these formulas, and then that's how they determine your bi-weekly your amount that you'll receive every single week while you're still applying for unemployment. So how the hell, who screwed up that went from 561 all the way down to 223? That's what I was trying to figure out, and it made no sense whatsoever. So knowing that happened, and then I started seeing a pattern after like 4 to 6 months going by. And what had happened is that overpayment amount kept changing at about an average of every 45 to 60 days. So how could I go into the system and choose a bi-monthly payment amount for like 36-month payments, 48-month payments at a certain dollar amount, and like 60-month payments at a certain dollar amount? How can I do that if it goes from like $27,500 that I owe back, like everything I've received, to owing half that, a quarter of that, a third that, every 45 to 60 days? It kept changing. It went from you owe us everything back, you owe us nothing back, you owe us half back, you owe us everything back, you owe us nothing, you owe us half, you owe us a quarter, you owe us a third. It kept changing non-stop without fail. So it's like, who is running that system? What the hell are you people doing? And all that. So what I did was, after so many times of it changing, like 3 or 4 different times, I started creating an appeals packet, which is a copy, this right here. So the first thing here is the redetermination from a certain time frame. So it always print up the most current determination that had all these, the listing of everything you filed and everything, and that there's an issue with it, and it just keeps going and all that kind of stuff. So after all of that, I ended up creating a total of 3 different appeals packets, because there was one, and then multiple more months went by, didn't hear anything on it, and then of course more stuff popped up, more paperwork was filled out and submitted, I talked to more people, and all that kind of stuff. So then I created another one, because I didn't even know if they got the first one. And every time I mailed out the appeals packet, I also kept the receipts until I knew that they received it. So I'm doing all these things, and one of the most important things out of this whole video is keeping track of what you do, the actions that you take. This is coming from an Army logistical person who I am super detailed. I track everything. I never really lose anything. That's why I was such a good supply sergeant. Every unit that I became a supply sergeant for, Their logistical efficiency from the entire unit was like 3% or 5% within about an average of 24 months of me being in that unit, give or take a few months. I got them up to a 95 to 100% because the details matter, and keeping track of things matter, and keeping copies of things for your own copies and protection matter. So what I did was every single time, not only did I get multiple phone numbers and write them down on like 3x5 cards of the different departments I talked to. Then I also wrote a bit of a journal, almost like a Word document journal, and write little cliff notes. What department did I talk to? What was the name of the person I talked to from the unemployment office, in whatever department? What was their employee number? What was the day? What was the time? An overview of what did I say to them and tell them. An overview of like almost like a sworn statement, like a sworn statement. What did I say to them? What did they say to me? Who did I talk to? What day and time? From what department? What's their employee number? What's their name? Hey, and if you need to, even pull out some sort of recording device and record the phone conversation if you need to get every form of evidence proof and as much detail as possible in order to, to protect your butt and cover your ass. Okay? So that was the first thing. And that also includes if you have to, whatever paperwork they have you file, every email, print off, the first determination, a redetermination of them saying yes you're approved, and then no you're not approved, yes you're approved, no you're not approved, you owe this amount, now it's changed to this amount. Take snapshots with your phone of the different screens. Keep records. Take snapshots, then email them to yourself, then download them and put a date on it and a little title of what this picture represents. And so every single time from the very beginning, what your original determination was, what the new redetermination was, different time frames, how things keep changing. The more and more you track things and keep them in timeline format, it was this, then it changed to this, then it changed to this, then it changed to this, kind of thing. You guys said this, and then it went from this quantity to this quantity to this price to this price, constantly changing, and it's not your fault. It's the United States government screwing everything up and hiring people who can't do math. So you have to cover your butt. You have to have documentation, evidence, proof. You want to be able to win. You want to be able to fight things and win. You want to be able not for the government or whoever or whatever agency to not take you for everything you have or rip the shirt off of your back. You need as much evidence, proof. You have to protect yourself. So you're keeping track of every single thing. Snapshots from the websites of what it was to what it is now to what it changed again and again and again. Show evidence, proof of that, and save everything. Every new documentation that they send to you, and like we need you to fill this out, before you submit it to them, do put it through a copier, get a copy of it, put it through a digital scanner, print off another copy, and then you get whether it be 3-ring binder or a manila folder, pocket folder, and you keep your copies. However many copies you have, you keep those for your records, and then keep it in a place where you know where it's at. Like in an accordion folder with your taxes or whatever. So I did all that. I kept track of everything. I took pictures. I got tons of evidence proof. And I did learn that, because I said I've made 2 appeals packet. Well, I actually later on made a third. And what I realized is I screwed something up. A lot of the financial stuff that I was getting together, I was showing them gross income money. But since I was a Lyft driver, 1099 self-contractor, I was actually supposed to show net income. I was supposed to show gross if I was a W-2 tax person, not a self-contractor. So my numbers were a little off. So once I realized that, I corrected it with a third appeals packet. and all of that. Around that time, I also got the idea to get a hold of somebody, a supervisor person from the department, that was the overpayment department, the people who will determine, the 561 per week, the people who do the formulas, take the information we submit them of our past income, and then explain to them the situation. How did it change from 561 per week to 223 per week, and all of that. And then when I told them what happened, in detail in a timeline format, what did they tell me to do? What did I do? What paperwork did I fill out? And just went through the whole thing in detail. And that person's like, well, from what you're telling me, and you've really stayed on top of it, you did all the right things. This is not your fault. I'm going to direct you to another portion of the website, and you're going to fill out a waiver. And I have about a 95% guarantee that it'll take a while, but that you will qualify for this to be wiped out, for the overpayment amount to be wiped out. So I did that, and then about 2 to 3 months later, I get another email in the system, saying to print off the waiver in a paper form, refill it out again, and resubmit it. It's a good thing that I also took snapshots with my phone of filling it out the first time. So I'm wondering if they did that in the system and then paper version to see if did you fill it out completely different or the same, were there discrepancies, So, and all of that. And then I submitted the paper version, and I think that was like, I want to say March of 2021, and that was the last time that I got anything in the system, heard anything at all. And I kept checking in the system at least once a month. After several months, I called up and like, did you guys ever receive my appeal packet at all? And they're like, yes, we actually just got it recently. We got all three. We opened and closed the first two, and then we focused. We're going through the details, doing the investigation on the third appeals packet and the waivers that you submitted. Now we are so sorry, but we were overrun with paperwork. I'm dealing with a lot of people, millions of people. And we were about 6 to 10 months behind. So now we've gotten to it, and all that. We'll be reviewing it. Sorry that it took so long from once you submitted it to us. It was like 6 to 8 months later that they've like, yeah, we got it. We opened and closed the first two appeals packets, and now we're going through the third and your waivers. So hopefully in the near future, you can just keep checking at least once a month in the system, unless of course you get an email from us on what did we determine or what's the next step. So what did I do? How did I create these appeals packets? I actually, when I was a supply sergeant in the Army, I created something, a lot of them, hundreds of them, a packet known as a FLIPL, Financial Liability Investigation Report for Lost, Damage, and Destroyed Property. So I was the supply sergeant, and I would have to be the one who creates it. I look up in the property book and through our logistical system, someone lost, let's say a pair of night vision goggles or something. Who was signed for it? Who was the last person who had it? What is the current government price for a brand new pair? When did we receive that specific serial numbered pair? How old is it? What is the depreciation price? So I have to get all that information and put it into a try folder with all in a certain order, and then whatever exhibits that someone has given to me, I have to put in there. And so I create the original Flipple packet, and I put in Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, Exhibit D. I label it in a certain way and all that, and then I hand it over to either a first or second lieutenant, and they take it and begin the investigation. And then they will, after multiple weeks, maybe a couple months of investigation of everybody that was involved, they write up their recommendations to the company commander or whoever is the highest ranking authority who's in charge of the final determination. and the judge pretty much, and then the person in charge, the judge or company commander, makes the final determination on do they sweep it under the rug, do they just let it, the government will cover the cost, or does somebody get charged for loss, damage, destroyed? Was it because of neglect, negligence, or not? So because of that process, I have created, many of those. And so I use the exact same layout process of creating an appeals packet with basic information, the overview, and then creating exhibits. And after, a year, 12 to 18 months worth of these constant changes of the overpayment amount and what paperwork I filled out and submitted, I actually had exhibits of evidence, proof of everything I did step by step, alpha through November, A through N, exhibits to prove. So let me give you an idea. So originally, there is the actual original determination, the first one, the newest one, whatever the most current newest one is, that I would print up and then put in the very front of the appeals packet. Then next is request for hearing of the determination, the specific form that they would have that I got to fill out. Do I agree with the determination or not, and why? Do I want to fight it? Why? And then what I did is block 9 is explain the reasons you disagree with the decision. Provide as many details as possible. If you do not explain those reasons here, you may not be allowed to talk about them during the hearing. You may provide additional sheets of paper. And I believe when you say no and that you want to fight it, you have 30 days to put that in the system and send them something. So I believe it's 30 days. It might be 60, but I can't remember. It's been a while now. So this was for the third one, which was mid-July of 2021. So what I did is I printed that off, and then I created a step-by-step, in order, timeline format continuation sheet for question 9 on a Word document of the request for hearing of the non-monetary determination form. So I used a Word document, and then I created about 6.5 pages after all this. So you're talking, what I believe, it was like December of 2020 when the first overpayment amount happened. So you're talking 8 months later, third appeals packet. So then that, with a lot of stuff that happened. So first page, second page, and just kept going. It's almost like a digital journal almost of everything I have done since starting on the first day with the Colorado unemployment. The first thing I did, the second thing I did, the third thing I did, step by step information. And I did all that. So like 6.5 pages of a continuation sheet of what happened. And then I did exhibits alpha through November. I printed them up. I highlighted certain things. I wrote little notes. What is Exhibit A? What is Exhibit B? What is Exhibit C? And all of that. So, for example, Exhibit A, proof of vehicle registration expired on 30 April of 2020, showing that by the 1st of May of 2020, my vehicle registration for Colorado expired. Exhibit B, Uber weekly earning statements to show and prove I was unemployed from 1st May 2020 to 17 August until I got my updated driver's license and Department of Licensing vehicle registration, and not earning any money from this 14-week time period. And then, so that was the weekly earning statement from Uber. So showing that, for 14 weeks I didn't get paid. Then I showed Exhibit C, my new Washington State driver's license. Sorry, it doesn't show my face well. I'm running low on toner, but it shows proof of the issue date of when I got my new license from the DMV after they reopened mid-July due to the shutdown of the pandemic. Exhibit C, new vehicle registration from Washington State to show proof of when it was issued, which was 20 July of 2020. Exhibit E, original PUA summary when I filed my PUA claim on 6th May of 2020. So what it originally showed was that I qualified for 561 per week, not 223. So I'm just showing, after every exhibit, I'm showing evidence proof that I did the right thing, that it's not my fault that the government screwed up, and was maybe if they did overpay me, that's not my fault. So I did all of that. In fact, on one of the exhibits, I think which exhibit was it? One second. Exhibit K. I actually got sick and tired of hearing trying to figure out was the new determination of the weekly amount, the 223. Which one is right? Was it the 561 that was right, or was it the 223 that was right? And so I pretty much did the formulas. I got all the net income information from Lyft and Uber for and everything, and then I plugged it in. I created an Excel roster, and then I added it all up to use their formulas. And the interesting thing, depending on which formula you use, I got the UI benefit estimate formula. For one formula, I got $383.03, and the other one I got $291.82. So $291.82. So plugging in with net income information of what I made from Lyft for 2019, I got $383 and just under $292. But yet they got originally 561, and then dropped it 7-8 months later to 223. Someone's not doing their math properly, and that's a big factor. So by doing all of this, I realized, hey, I didn't do anything wrong, and I have all the evidence proof to prove it. So that's when I created, up to 3 appeals packets. The first two were slightly screwed up with gross income numbers, and then the third one was fixed with net income numbers. And then by that time, I had done a lot, talked to a lot of people, different departments, did exactly what they told me to do, and then I took that information, created all the exhibits and information, 6.5 pages of continuation explaining exactly what happened as clear as possible, reviewed it multiple times before printing it, and made sure spelling and everything was good, and then done, filed it, filled out a little later the online waiver that I was told to do by the overpayment manager person, and then like 2 to 3 months later a paper version, mailed it off. And then I had to wait for about a year and a half, and then I finally went back into the system after waiting so long, and found out that I had won. I had beaten after like 10 months, like changing multiple times of the overpayment amount that I owed. It stayed at $13,000 after getting a little over $28,000 from them. So then I just stuck with it, and I was like, I'm not gonna pay anything unless I hear that I have a hearing with a judge who orders me to pay a certain amount back. Now, whether that's Maybe they take the $13,000 overpayment amount they told me in the system that I need to pay, or maybe they redo it with the proper formulas, the proper numbers. They come up. It's like if you come up with accurate numbers that I come up with and change that 223 to like the 383 or the 292, our numbers match up. I agree with you. I will go ahead and I'll make those start to make those monthly payments, or maybe I'll pay that total amount. Maybe it's 6,000, maybe it's 8,000, whatever the total dollar amount is. It should be less than 13,000 at your 223 determination. So it's like if you guys fix your stuff and we all are on agreement, I'll make the overpayment amount. I'll agree to it. But you guys, your dollar amounts are wrong. They're incorrect. Your math is incorrect. And I verified it with me and a couple other people who are really smart with math. And I'm a business accounting degree is on top of that, so I'm good with math. So, and I'm good with finances too. I'm not stupid. I'm not gonna say, oh, they came up with this determination, you have to agree with it. Nope. So I fought it. I kept records of everything, picture records, printed records, copies, wrote everything down step by step. Who did I talk to, when, what day, what time, what was their employee number. I kept detailed tracking information and timelines and all that. And I was able to use that to make very detailed appeals packets with exhibits of evidence proof and write notes on the exhibits, put it all together, submit it. And after, I think it was about a year and a half fight from the first appeals packet, a year and a half later, I found out I won the appeal. And then I took snapshots of showing that I won in the Colorado unemployment system, showing that that in the system it said, your overpayment amount is now zero, you owe nothing, and that is our final determination. I even took snapshots of that, and I save everything just in case they try to come back at me a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Like, I have all the evidence proof. I've got copies of the appeals packets, the waivers, the when did I mail them out. I've got the receipts from the post office or FedEx. If I faxed it to them, whatever, or mailed it through FedEx. So I have copies of everything, and I will hold on to it for several years. So that is pretty much my story of why did I file for unemployment, how did I get it, how much did I get it, how did they determine the weekly dollar amount, how they screwed up, how I stayed on top of things, and I kept, I kept on top of things, kept on all the details. I had paperwork, evidence proof, timeline evidence proof, snapshot with my smartphone evidence proof, and then use that as my evidence proof within my appeals packets and waivers and exhibits. I backed everything up, and then I submitted it. I fought it. I stayed on top of it. I'm not sure what the proper word is that I'm trying to say, but because of the details and the evidence proof and the documentation proof and the picture proof, I didn't give up. It was stressful and a headache, not knowing I actually truly, since summer of 2022, I got 100% debt free, and then knowing that this was hanging over my head still until the end of 2023. I finally found out during holiday season 2023 that the appeals and the waiver went through, and I won, and I didn't have to have a court date with a judge. I didn't have to get a lawyer or to represent myself. And I had so much detail information in a timeline format that they didn't really want to fight me on it. Because man, he has kept track of everything. He knows what he's doing. If we fight him, we'll lose, is pretty much what their overall determination I expected to be. And so, they gave me too much money, not my fault, and for the first several months. And then they try to fight me and say that you owe a ton of money, maybe even all the money back. I think it was a little over $28,000 altogether that they gave me worth for several months. That's including CARES Act money. And then they said I owed them like $13,000 back, and I fought it, and I won. So it was me staying on top of it and not giving up, my determination, my focus, my organization skills, my logistical skills and knowledge, my attention to detail. Details matter, and they can save your butt. So that is my overall video of how to deal with future unemployment, how to keep track of your records and details and snapshot pictures and hints, tips, and tricks in order to and hold on to it even for several years afterwards, just kind of like you would tax documentation and tax receipts and everything you file for taxes. It's the same thing, because they could say 1 minute you won, and then a year later or 2 years later or 3 years later, they come back after you and like, oh no, we screwed up. Okay, the government is slow to give you money and quick, fast, and in a hurry to take your money. Or to fight you and sue you and all that. I actually PBS, I watched a report from a year ago on those who were affected by Hurricane Katrina and another hurricane shortly after that in Louisiana, New Orleans. And they were given state grants for it was like $30,000 grants to raise their houses up, but some of them were already raised. And like, it's okay. You are authorized. We are giving you a memo saying you're authorized to take this money and not use it for the raising of your house, but use it for other damages to recover from the disaster, the Hurricane Katrina disaster, and make other repairs and improvements on your home and stuff. And so they did that. Then, several years later, the city is wasting $11 million hiring lawyers to sue these people on whoever doesn't have that memo saying that they were authorized to receive that $30,000 grant from the city and use it for something other than raising your house up or raising the height of the house to hopefully prevent future hurricane floodwaters from destroying their home again. So those who kept the receipts were fine. Out of like 12,000 different people who got the grants, 3,500 of them they're going after, and those people didn't keep their documentation paperwork, didn't keep the receipts they spent the money on, didn't keep a copy of the memo in an important place. They threw it away. And that's why these lawyers, the cities, are trying to get some of their money back because maybe they overspent, they overextended themselves. So someone wasn't being smart with the state's money. So someone screwed up and was trying to get a bunch of money back, but it also cost them $11 million to hire lawyers to sue people. So if those people would have kept on top of and been like a logistical, think ahead, I got a bunch of money, nothing is ever free mentality, then they're like, I need to keep copies of this in a safe place because this could come back and bite me in the ass. I'm dealing with the federal government. Always keep your paperwork and protecting your butt, okay? That is pretty much all I have of my experience with Colorado unemployment, first time ever. And they tried to come after me, and they didn't win against me. I won against them because I stayed on top of everything. So, that's all I have, and I hope you like this and this information. If you like it, hit subscribe, make any comments on what you think. And I hope if anybody on here who has never filed for unemployment, you listen to this. Hopefully this will give you a bit of hints, tips, and tricks so you don't fall for bad things when they throw you through the loopholes of dealing with the unemployment system. Hopefully this will prevent you from being taken advantage of, where you get money and then you owe money back. Keep track of everything you do with the unemployment department. All right, you guys take care. Have a good night. And stay safe, take care of each other, and watch your back, okay? All right, take care, and hit like, hit subscribe, and make some positive comments if you like this video. All right, take care, bye.